I am not Steve. But I am Tyler, and this is Movie News Recap, where we cover anything and everything think you'll find interesting in the movie news space. And last night, I got the chance to watch Warner Brothers' newest theatrical movie, a Minecraft movie, and I got to give you guys my thoughts. So let's dive on in. So, if somehow you didn't know, there is a Minecraft movie in theaters right now from the director of Napoleon Dynamite and starring Jack Black and Jason Momoa. And when you say that, you're going to immediately think, okay, this is going to be Napoleon Dynamite mixed with Nacho Libre, and it's going to be amazing. And I don't think it's going to live up to that expectation if that's what you're walking into, which is what I walked into the movie kind of expecting. With that being said, my out of theater reaction with a couple of my buddies is up on my YouTube page right now and my Instagram page. The link should be up there in the in a card right there, and it should be on the end page of this video as well. With that being said, I don't hate the movie, but it's not a good movie. With that being said, I'm going to start with what I did like and then move on to what I didn't like. But starting out with one of the things I really did like was surprisingly the visuals of this movie. The visuals of this movie, yes, they're stark, they're obvious. You can tell everything in this movie is CGI. That's clear. But I mean, the way they work it in, it's a lot of fun. I definitely love the way the zombies and the creepers look. The pink sheep is definitely creepy and weird as can be, but it is kind of fun and charming at the same way. And the way the characters interact, it doesn't feel like they're just on a green screen, which is great. I mean, I think we saw some set photos where they actually did have a lot of blocky features against the green screen as well, so maybe that helped. But the biggest takeaway is the fact that the visuals aren't really that bad. But with that being said, another thing I did like was actually more than Jack Black's Steve, I actually preferred Jason Momoa's Gary the Garbage Man Garrison's character. Now, none of the characters in this have very good character development, if any. But I like Gary's character, the character of Gary, just because I think his humor landed more often than any of the other characters did. And he was definitely the funniest, in my opinion. I like the way that he definitely, you get the I peaked in high school vibes from him. But he's still like trying so hard, and the jokes about him trying to be a life coach and stuff like that, it's great. With that being said, Jack Black, who a lot of people are expecting to be the funniest part of this movie, he really isn't. He definitely is funny in scenes, but his funny scenes are the ones that are in the trailer. Every single time he's in a scene, it's typically played up to be a comedic moment. But when you have that many, most, if not all of them, aren't gonna hit. And most of the clips didn't hit. The ones that are in the trailer do, but outside of that, most of the scenes aren't that funny. But with the rest of the characters, the brother and the sister, no character development really. There's a little bit of a story arc, that's about it. But they're fine. They're not anything more than you're expecting from a kids movie. And then the character of Dawn just felt kind of shoehorned in there. I didn't really think there was any need for her though. Starting out with one of the biggest things I disliked, that was the lack of character development. I kind of mentioned this in the when I was talking about the characters, but it's all the way around. There is no character development for any of these characters. The only one that had slight character development was the main little boy, and even him, he had nothing. Like when the lights go dim and the movie starts to when the screen goes black and the lights come up, these characters are in the exact same place. It didn't change at all. And that kind of gives you this unsatisfying feeling coming out of the movie of like, I just sat here for nearly 2 hours and nothing in these characters' lives actually changed. Because this whole movie is just meant to be a joke fest with no story, but they kind of play up certain moments as if they're supposed to be dramatic and then never are. With that being said, I don't think this was aided at all because the story and the plot are basically non-existent. They're just kind of jumping from place to place, and things just happen so conveniently so that the plot can just keep going at such a rapid pace that nothing ever feels significant. There never seems to be any like development in their skills. Just all of a sudden they're just better in the world of Minecraft. And then one of my biggest complaints is the very end. The final sequence kind of just happens out of nowhere and there's no build up to it. And while speaking of the plot, this is kind of pro and a con. The con is that there are multiple times that the movie breaks into just a musical sequence out of nowhere, and the plot goes from this rapid pace to just and just straight stops, and then just shoots back going again, and it's just like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Because it doesn't make any sense the pace and speed it's going for it to just stop for a musical number. But the positive is that the musical numbers are fun. They're jokes in themselves, but they are still a really funny part of the movie. And Jack Black, because all of them are by Jack Black, and they are fun, so that's a positive. The songs are still fun. Nothing, nowhere near the level of Peaches. But the problem with them was that they kind of felt forced. I wish they kind of worked them into the story a little bit better. But I mean, based off how the writing of the story as a whole was, I don't really think they cared about fitting in parts of the movie. They're just like, oh, drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. Okay, there's our movie. And that might have been its biggest downfall, is just the story and the pacing and the plot. But it's clearly made for kids, obviously. It's not made for me. And that they're going to need that quick, fast, moving plot to keep them engaged. But I think it's almost too fast at points. It's almost like trying to click into the dopamine of your systems and not actually give us a story. And I think as a whole, that's the best way you can put it. It's a movie almost meant to be given to tablet kids on a tablet. It's just constant dopamine over and over of just get them to pay attention, get them to laugh over and over and over. That it's almost exhausting to the point that sometimes the movie's just, or most of the time, the movie's just not that funny. And I think that's really sad because there was a lot to work with there. They just didn't do it well. The story wasn't there, the plot wasn't there, the pacing wasn't there, the development wasn't there. It was very much almost seemed like if their mentality was, okay, a lot of little 6-year-olds are going to watch this and they don't care about the story, they don't care about the plot, so there's no reason to write it. Let's just ask Jack Black to come up with a whole bunch of funny jokes and lines about Minecraft and we'll build the story off of that. And that really seems like the basis of where this movie came from. So that's kind of why, like, I don't think it's a good movie. But as I said, the experience that I had and the way that all the jokes and the memes came about this movie definitely saved the experience. Because if you're going to go to a theater that's empty, just don't go because you're not going to enjoy the movie. But if you're going to a theater that's going to have a lot of people in there, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be fun. But this is definitely a movie you have to see with a ton of people to even enjoy it. But that's really my thoughts as a whole on the movie. But I'm gonna rank this and rate it. But with that being said, it's gonna be hard because my critical and my personal rating are two very, very different things on this, just because of the experience and the enjoyment I had versus the quality of the movie. So with that being said, I'm gonna start with my critical and end with my personal. And on my critical rating, the action, I'm gonna have to give it a D because the action's not great. They just out of nowhere learn to fight. There's no real stakes ever really seeming like it. So it really can only earn a D. As for the comedy, certain scenes I would give it an A plus. And other scenes, I would only give it an F. So to go there in the middle, I'm going to give the comedy a C. Certain scenes hit, certain scenes don't. So that's the best it's going to get. And as for horror, F. There's nothing in there to be scared of at all. There's not even like any threatening scenes, so you don't have to worry about that at all. So my overall score for this movie is going to be 1.5 stars. It's not a good movie. And if you're not going to be in a theater with a whole bunch of people to make it enjoyable, it's not going to be a good movie whatsoever. It's the people in your theater that are going to make the movie good. So that's why it's only getting 1.5 stars. As for my personal rating, this is based off of my actual enjoyment of the film and my experience and not the actual quality of it. So this is going to be completely different. And the main reason this is going to be so far off is because, as Jack Black said, since he was a child, he yearned for the mines. For months, I've yearned for a theatrical experience like this, where the crowd is just cheering and having a good time, just enjoying being there and having a combined experience of seeing this movie for the first time. And I think that's what theaters have been missing. Just maybe not the movies they've been wanting this to happen to. But with that being said, Because of the experience I had and the way that I had so much fun in the theater, this movie is actually going to be getting a full 4 stars from me, just because I haven't had this much fun in a theater in so long, just because I haven't had this, people haven't been so excited and so ready and eager to see such a ridiculous movie like this in that long either. So, with that being said, 4 stars for my personal rating, and then a star and a half for my critical rating. Very different scores, but I think reflective of how the quality of the movie relates to my experience of the movie. With that being said, though, let me know if you guys have seen the movie, or if you are planning to see the movie, and also let me know what your favorite Steve quote is. Personally, mine is "Chicken Jockey." But with that being said, until next time, I'm Tyler. Take care.